What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today we're going to be taking a comprehensive look at divisions in World War II and exactly how they work. There's still a lot of confusion out there about this system, and I wanted to clear up what I know about this, but keep in mind some things may change because this is a very early build of the game, and also I don't have access to every little piece of information, but I've been doing lots of research on it, and I'm going to be sharing everything that I know so far. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so kicking it off, let's just look at the basics of how this works, then we'll get into a lot more depth on the individual aspects of divisions. So divisions, just in case you guys haven't heard yet, is essentially the new create a class system in Call of Duty World War II. It still does give you a decent amount of freedom for creating your class the way you want to create it, but they just changed how we do that. So for those of you guys that are thinking this is preset classes, that is not true at all. There's still quite a bit of freedom that you have in creating the class that you want to use. But let's have a look at exactly how it works. So there are 5 different divisions in World War II. We've got infantry, airborne, armored, mountain, and expeditionary. And what these titles mean is essentially just the class of weapon that you're using. So if you are choosing the infantry class, that means you are using an assault rifle. So if you want to use an assault rifle, you have to be infantry as far as we can tell so far. If you're using SMGs, you're going to be in the airborne division. Armored is going to be LMG division, Mountain is the sniper division, and Expeditionary is going to be the shotgun division. Now an important thing to point out that a lot of people seem to be confused about, you still get to choose which gun you're using within that class of weapon. So if I'm choosing infantry, I get to pick whichever assault rifle I have unlocked, and you also get to put on 2 attachments by default for your primary weapon. You get to pick a pistol on your class, and you get to pick 1 piece of equipment. So this could be a lethal piece of equipment or a tactical piece of equipment. Now there are a few little perk type things that allow you to add more attachments, and we'll look at that in a second here, but that is the default way that you set your classes up. So for those of you guys that are worried about this system really limiting how you create your classes, it doesn't really limit much at all. So with each division, you get a division skill, and so far we only see 1 division skill per division type, but perhaps we're going to see more in the future. So for instance, right now on the infantry division, the division skill is a bayonet charge. On the airborne division, we get a suppressor, which you can actually take off in the middle of a game and put back on in the middle of a game, which is really neat. For the armored division, we have bipod, and this allows you to mount your LMG on a ledge or when you're prone, and it essentially eliminates recoil, but the cost is you aren't mobile at all. For the mountain division, or the sniping division, we have sharpshooter, and with this one, you block out your surroundings and acquire aim assist and enemy names when you hold your breath. So this is a really cool sniping mechanic. I didn't want to get into it too much in this video, but just know, you don't seem to get aim assist on sniper rifles until you hold your breath, and I think that's an excellent solution with sniper rifles. And finally, for the expeditionary division, or the shotgun division, you get incendiary shells, which we did see in the trailer, and with this one, you can load an incendiary shell, like a dragon's breath type shell, and when you shoot an enemy with that, it lights them on fire. So obviously, these division skills seem to be tied to the divisions themselves, so you can't use bayonet charge on a shotgun or an SMG or a sniper rifle or anything. These ones are tied to their divisions. Moving on to the next aspect of divisions, we have division training. Now I'm going to be right up front here in this video. At the time of me making this video, I am not 100% sure if this is tied to your division or if you just earn it within that division, and then once you earn it, you can use it division-wide. I'll be sure to keep you guys updated, and honestly, I think it could go either way. It appears that it might be tied to your division, but at the same time, I wouldn't be too surprised if you could use this across several divisions. But with each one of these division training, we get perks attached to our class. And one interesting thing to point out is these appear to be like pro perks from back in like the Black Ops 1 days. So you start off with a fairly basic perk, but as you use that perk more and more and you complete challenges with it, you unlock more aspects to that perk. So just as an example, let's look at this airborne division here. You can see the division training is Pathfinder 3. Now that 3 after Pathfinder appears to indicate that there are several tiers to Pathfinder. So my guess is you start with Pathfinder 1, which just allows you to sprint for longer distances, nothing more, but as you use that and as you complete certain challenges, you will unlock Pathfinder 2, which adds on an increased sprint speed to that perk, or that division training. And then finally, with Pathfinder 3, you get to climb over obstacles faster as well. So that's how division training appears to work. It's a perk that may or may not be tied to a specific division. I would bet that at least unlocking these different tiers of these perks will be tied to certain divisions. But with these perks, they're like pro perks where they have several different aspects to them and they get more and more powerful as you unlock different tiers. So just to be nice and complete with this video, I want to give you guys as much information as possible. Let's go through all the division trainings that we know about so far. For the infantry class, we have Infantryman 3, and with this one you get 2 extra attachments on your primary weapon and 1 attachment on your secondary weapon. For the Airborne division, we've already covered Pathfinder. It allows you to sprint for longer distances, increase sprint speed, and climb over obstacles faster. For the Armored division, we have Tanker 3, and with this one you get a rocket launcher as a secondary weapon, you get an extra piece of equipment, and you get to throw equipment faster, farther, and while sprinting. For the Mountain division, or the Sniping division, you get Scout 3, and with this one you acquire enemy names from farther away, you get increased minimap coverage, and you are hidden to player-controlled streaks. And then finally, with Expeditionary, we have Sapper, and with Sapper you get extra magazines, you are immune to shell shock and tactical equipment, and you take less explosive damage. So those are all the division training perks that we know about so far. Now let's move into the final section of your division, and this is basic training. With basic training perks, it appears that this is not tied to your division, so you can mix and match all you want. You can put them on any division that you want as long as you have them unlocked. And with these basic training perks, it looks like we can only pick 1 per class, and therefore it looks like what they've done is they've taken 2 to 3 perks from previous Call of Duty games and combined them into a single perk. So let's go through the list of all known basic training perks so far. First up, we have Steady, and with this one you are immune to shell shock and tactical equipment, and you get to sprint for longer distances. Next, we have one called Hunker, and with Hunker you reveal enemy equipment, so it's kind of like Engineer, and you take less explosive damage, so this one is like Flak Jacket. The third one we know about is called Smoked, and with Smoked you get an extra piece of lethal equipment, and you get a smoke grenade as tactical equipment. The next one is called Phantom, and with this one we actually get 3 perks. We get Quieter Movement, so it's kind of like Dead Silence, you take no fall damage, and you're invisible to enemy recon aircraft while moving. And this is great to see. This is like our Ghost perk, and it won't work if you're just sitting in a corner. You have to be on the move, and I'm really happy to see that in this game. Next up, we have Loaded, and with Loaded you get extra magazines, and you get to reload your weapons faster, so it's kind of like Dexterity or Sleight of Hand. Moving on to the next one, this one's called Scoped, and with Scoped, you move faster while aiming down sight, so this is kind of like Stalker or a stock attachment, depending on which game you're looking at for Call of Duty. And you also get an extra attachment on your primary weapon, so instead of 2, you get 3 attachments on your primary. The next one is called Undercover, and with this one, when you kill enemy players, it doesn't reveal their death location, so that little skull appears when your teammates are dying. That won't show up for the enemy team when you kill people. And you get no name or reticle color change when you're targeted, so that's kind of like Cold-Blooded in the past. Moving on to Forage, this allows you to swap weapons faster, throw equipment faster, and resupply ammo and equipment from dead enemies. So this is like Scavenger combined with a certain aspect of Fast Hands, which allows you to switch your weapon faster, and also you're able to throw equipment faster. Moving on to Ordnance, with Ordnance, score streaks will cost less for you, and it gives you the ability to re-roll care packages. And finally, the last basic training perk that we know of so far is called Duelist, and with Duelist, you get 2 attachments on your secondary weapon. Now, out of all those basic training perks, one thing you might have noticed is certain elements of those perks will overlap with the division training perks that we covered earlier. So this does lead me to believe that those division training perks will in fact be tied to your division, and if there is a certain perk that you want, like being able to sprint for longer periods of time, you don't necessarily have to have an SMG on your class. You can use a basic training perk to make up for that. But that's pretty much everything we know about the divisions so far. Just a quick recap, you choose your division, which selects which class of weapon you're going to be using. You can still select your weapon, your attachments, your secondary, and your equipment. With each division, they have a skill that is automatically tied to that division. We have division training perks, which appear to be tiered, and they may or may not be tied to the specific division that you're using. And then we choose one basic training perk, which appear to be not tied to any particular division, and they have a mix of several perks from previous Call of Duty games in each one of these basic training perks. Now overall, what are my thoughts on this division system? Honestly, after looking at this, a little bit of relief. I was really nervous when Sledgehammer came out and said that divisions are going to be replacing the created class system. It made me think that maybe they were going kind of like the Battlefield route, where you have kind of somewhat preset classes, and then you can just kind of move a couple things around. It looks like we have a lot more freedom than I initially thought with this, And that's great, and I'm looking forward to seeing more information on this. Hopefully there's a few more perks to choose from. Obviously there's going to be lots more weapons and stuff, but like I said, weapons are going to be covered in a different video. But overall, I am quite relieved to see how the Division system seems to look so far. Having said this, I am still slightly disappointed that it appears that we have slightly less customization than we've seen in past years of Call of Duty. It's not like the Pick 10 system where you can swap out several different perks and you can tailor that class exactly how you want it to be tailored. Instead, you kind of pick your style of class, and yes, you still have a little bit of play with it, but you don't necessarily get to mix and match every single little perk that you want to mix and match together. And with that, I'd love to know in the comment section below, what do you think of this Division system so far? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Are you maybe a little bit relieved like I am? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.